Welcome to another episode, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Melania Trump has indeed been exposed in the Epstein files. Melania Trump, the wife of Donald J. Trump, is on record as saying she does not know Ghislaine Maxwell. However, the Epstein files just exposed correspondence between Melania Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell. Not only that, she has nicknames for Ghislaine Maxwell. Not only that, she has nicknames for Jeffrey Epstein. Not only that, come to find out, allegedly, Jeffrey Epstein is the one that connected Melania Trump, introduced Melania Trump and Donald Trump, and made that marriage possible. To no one's surprise, Melania Trump has been exposed as a liar. Let's get into it.
Yesterday was a very bad day for Melania Trump. Her dark past is surfacing, and she wants people to believe that her film was a success when it was an utter disaster. By the way, the Midas Touch Network broke an exclusive that Trump faith-based leaders, and I put that in quote, were encouraging bulk buys in order to try to manipulate ticket sales. I'll get to that in a moment. But let's talk about Melania's dark past surfacing. So Melania, you can try to threaten lawsuits against people like Donald Trump's former biographer, Michael Wolff, or you could threaten lawsuits against Hunter Biden, but you're not scaring anybody. Michael Wolff sued you. You have not countersued him, and you've been running away as Wolff tried to serve you with the lawsuit. Then you rush to federal court and say that Michael Wolff's lawsuit against you should be dismissed because you've been dodging service of the summons and complaint. But as I mentioned, your dark past is surfacing, Melania. Your name is appearing in these Epstein files that your husband's DOJ that he weaponized released on Friday. Now, to be very clear, just because your name appears, I'll let the people judge and form their own opinions, Melania. I'm just going to stick to what the documents say that Trump's DOJ produced. So, of course,
because she's taking a page out of her husband's book and bullying people and threatening lawsuits and trying to silence people and all of that. So he has to say allegedly, and so do I, and let it be known that this is just our opinion, disclaimer. But the facts are the facts. Her name is in the Jeffrey Epstein files. But to get into it, she was corresponding with Ghislaine Maxwell on a regular basis. Watch some of the correspondence.
There was the document that I covered on another video. So let me do that one first, but then I'll show the document next that talks about Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. I'm reading from the document. I'm not attesting to the truth of the matter asserted. I'm just reading documents from the files, and I'm letting my audience draw opinions however they see fit using my First Amendment right. So there was the October 23rd, 2002 email from you to Ghislaine Maxwell. Hi, G. I thought you didn't know Ghislaine. I thought that you didn't have a relationship. You had a nickname for her. You called her G. You're also in photos with her. But dear G, how are you? Nice story about Jeffrey Epstein in New York Magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How is Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania.
Wow. Have a great time. Love, Melania. Hey, G. Know you're busy flying all around the world with J.E., Jeffrey Epstein. This is Melania Trump. Love, Melania. This is Melania, who says she doesn't know these people. Just like Howard Lutnick said that he was done with Epstein, only come to find out he was begging, absolutely begging to get his sick ass back on the island and abuse these little girls. These people are sick. Melania Trump here exposed in the Epstein files after saying she doesn't even know Ghislaine Maxwell. Come to find out, not only does she know her, she was corresponding with her and had a nickname for her, G. Hey, G, love Melania. This is your president. This is your first lady. A bunch of lying hypocrites, man. All of them. Sick. Even Melania's involved. Allegedly.
You had nicknames for Ghislaine Maxwell. You plan to meet again in New York, in my opinion, based on this email. And isn't that the New York Magazine where Donald Trump said Epstein is a great guy who likes women on the younger side? That wasn't a red flag, Melania. It wasn't a red flag that the Mar-a-Lago spa was being sent to Epstein's home a few miles down the road. Not a red flag there, Melania, because you were talking to Ghislaine during the height of a child sex trafficking ring that Ghislaine and Jeffrey were involved in. J.E., as you nicknamed him. Let's take a look at this other document, Bates number EFTA 159322. This appears to be a proffer to the FBI, and here's what it says. So-and-so put in contact with an agent named Paulo.
And none of this stuff is supposed to be redacted. All of these black lines that you see in these Epstein files are not supposed to be there. They already had some Epstein Transparency Act or something passed where the stuff is not even supposed to be redacted. They're going against the law, redacting this stuff. This is unbelievable.
Zampoli, who worked with ID models. Now, these next few sentences are redacted. I don't think they should be redacted. The Epstein Transparency Act specifically says that these redactions are a violation of law unless it specifically gives the name of a victim. So does this label victims and survivors? Okay, well then let's read the next sentence. Zampoli was trying to buy elite models with Epstein. Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. So they're saying Zampoli wanted to buy elite models with Epstein here, and Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. I thought, Melania, you said Zampoli was the one who made that introduction. Was it Zampoli and Epstein? I'm just asking questions, as I have a right to do under the First Amendment. Goes on to say, Epstein was visiting Zampoli at the agency when there was casting auditions for models. Epstein was looking through portfolios and saw photographs of her wearing only swim bottoms. Blank and Zampoli were at nightclub with Epstein, who was there with a woman who believed was, and all this is redacted, someone called either a girl or Epstein and invited, this is redacted, to dinner, went to Epstein's residence on 71st Street in Manhattan. This was the first one-on-one interaction that seems like a Jane Doe had with Epstein. Epstein made her wait. She heard him playing the piano. Jane Doe did not recall if she went upstairs. Jane Doe and Epstein had dinner in the dining room. This was straight ahead. When you walked into his home, Epstein asked Jane Doe what she liked to do. Jane Doe told Epstein she liked studying and that she was a good student. They talked about travels and Jane Doe having a model contract in Japan and South Korea. Jane Doe mentioned that she thought there was a lot of Russian prostitution. Epstein told her, that's what I like best. Jane Doe recalled Epstein saying something that made her uncomfortable. Epstein gave Jane Doe a tour of the house, took her to the massage room, had her lay down, took out a vibrating thing, and rubbed it on her. Jane Doe told him to stop. Jane Doe described the massage room as small, very dark room on the same floor as the master bedroom. A driver took Jane Doe home, and she remembered being very tearful in the car. And the next morning or a day later, Jane Doe recalled that Epstein called her. Jane Doe was unsure how everything progressed from there. Epstein may have offered her an English class, which Jane Doe attended. Melania, why is your name on that document? Melania, why is it on that document, Melania? I thought you said Melania. Then there's this handwritten note in the Epstein file. Ex-husband put in contact with agent Paolo Zampoli, ID models, organized to come to New York to model, living at model's apartment, didn't have funds to pay own apartment, accommodate 10, same state as model agency Varick Street, had an affair with agent. He's trying to buy elite models with Epstein. He introduced Melania Trump to president, thinks he's an ambassador now. Jeffrey visiting Paulo at agency, casting for models, auditions. Jeffrey Epstein, left through portfolios. Jeffrey Epstein looked at mine when he was wearing bottoms swim short. Melania. Does everybody remember this article from the New York Times? When Donald met Melania, Paulo was there. He secured Mrs. Trump's visa to the United States and introduced her to Donald Trump at a 1998 party he hosted at the Kit Kat Club. Mr. Zampoli's parties have featured an alligator, tiger cubs, and models at nightclubs blowing kisses at fashion television cameras. So Zampoli owned his own modeling agency, and his agency brought in young ladies or girls, unclear the age, from Eastern Europe. Then these young ladies would go to the Kit Kat Club parties and meet wealthy men at the Kit Kat Club. That's how Melania met Donald. Melania's telling is Zampoli through this party at the Kit Kat Club. She says it wasn't Epstein. But it's interesting because if you look at these proffers and statements from the Epstein files, what they describe is Epstein and Zampoli wanting to merge their modeling agencies or work together to buy other modeling agencies. By the way, Trump owned modeling agencies at this time, and Epstein.
And we certainly know why they want all of these modeling agencies. Trump is already on record as saying that since he owned the agency, he walk in the locker room in the women's dressing rooms and all this while they were undressing, little girls' locker rooms and all this. These are sick individuals that we're talking about. They're all involved. They all have their hands dirty. Here we have Melania Trump, who swore up and down that she doesn't even know these individuals. She doesn't even know them. But yet she's in these writings talking about, hey, G, how are you? Love Melania. I know you're flying all around the world. Elon Musk has lied about being in the Epstein files, claiming that Epstein tried to get him onto Epstein Island and that he outright refused, only for the Epstein files to be released, some of them, to come to find out that Elon Musk was being mendacious. He's a liar. He has a propensity for the untruth. He, in fact, was beseeching and imploring Jeffrey Epstein to come to Epstein Island. Was Elon Musk, according to the Epstein files. Howard Lutnick had claimed that he didn't want to be in a room with Jeffrey Epstein anymore, even in the room, in the proximity with him, once he found out about his sickness. He made a video saying this, did an interview saying this, only to come and find out, according to the Epstein files, that Howard Lutnick was begging to get back onto the Epstein Island. They're all liars. They say one thing, they make these statements, and then the truth comes out. Melania said that she doesn't even know these people. She doesn't even know this woman. Clearly, that's not true. Hey, G, I know you've been flying all around the world. Girl, you look good in the magazine. What? I thought you didn't know her. Sick, and they're covering up for sick people, which makes them all sick. They're all the same, bro. They're all the same. Sick.
Epstein and Donald Trump and Zampoli were all kind of copying each other's modeling agencies, and Melania is mentioned in these reports. Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the Midas Touch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream. She's referenced in other files as well. In a January 21st, 2018 email between Epstein and Michael Wolff, they say the following: from Epstein to Michael Wolff, Achilles heel, Melania. Transcript. Melania focused on dates of porn star before birth of Barron or after. They also now have 2 armies of people escorting her kids to school. Friday, January 12, 2018, Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff, holding up his shithole countries comment. His "I will sign whatever is put in front of me" clearly shows cracks in his mental state. Transcripts could drive him over the edge if Melania's story doesn't come out. How about Steve Bannon's messages to Epstein? "Do you know Marion, Donald's new friend? Madeline Westerhout, very funny." Bannon goes, "She is the receptionist. Good kid, Grudon. Came from RNC." Epstein goes, "Knee pads. Doing God's work." Bannon says, "LMAO." Epstein, "He's much more calm, but the sight of him in the residence in his undies is hard to fathom. I'll give you details when I see you." Then they go on to say,
Sick individuals. Listen to this stuff. So they're talking about the alleged affair that Trump had in the White House with the 35-year-old. He was 79. Westerhout is her name. That's her on the left, I suppose, I believe. And talking about her having knee pads, getting down on her knees, getting some of that Bill Clinton, that Monica Lewinsky, and that he's much calmer now because of that. This is what Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein are talking about here in these emails. And then Jeffrey says, Epstein said, "Yeah, but the sight of him in his underwear in the White House or in the Oval Office talking about Trump is just too much to bear. I'll explain when I see you," or whatever. Man, what in God's name is going on in the White House, bro? How did you see him in his underwear? What is there to explain? What was he doing in his underwear? What were you doing with him? What in God's name is going on in the White House with the president of the United States of America and this Epstein character? What is going on? And Melania and Westerhout and Steve Bannon and all of these sick individuals that are involved in this MAGA cult. You're all sick in the head.
the 2 things he dreads at the moment is that an email from his ex saying he has a small dick and his transcript. The staying away from family over holidays is a huge tell. That's for Madeline. Whoa, wake up, dude. She has a way about her, saving the world in my view. Then we really need an intervention. And they are describing what they suggest is Madeline and Donald Trump. I'll let you read into it however you want to read into it. But Trump's personal assistant, Madeline Westerhout, was fired after alleged comments about Ivanka and Tiffany. By the way, here's Melania and Zampoli at the time. You see them right there. So that brings me, by the way, to this other piece of news right here, an exclusive that the Midas Touch Network brought. White House advisor pushed bulk sales for Melania movie. You know, Jeff Bezos put $75 million or more into this movie of Melania, and they're trying to brag that they're like, this broke records, $7 million it earned in its first week. That's not a good thing when you lose. I guess it's Trump math. Losing $69 million is a huge win right there. But here's what we're learning as well, Melania. Supporters are encouraged to buy group tickets and private screenings from a faith group, from a Christian group. It says, bulk sales of the new documentary, Melania, are being promoted through emails from the National Faith Advisory Board, a faith coalition led by Paula White Cain, who served as a senior advisor in the White House Faith Office. It says the film...
So she's cheating. She's been cheating. We already know that the movie flopped. This is Trump math. You know, she's been getting shredded all over the media for the movie, doing nothing, doing no good. But they're going to even lie about that. They're going to even put a spin on that. But man, it's unbelievable. Really not unbelievable. No, I'm back to the Epstein files. I don't care about this movie stuff. The fact that she's in these Epstein files, communicating with Ghislaine Maxwell after saying that she didn't even know this person is just mind-boggling, man. It's unbelievable. J.E. Jeffrey Epstein. That's her nickname for him. Melania.
Had almost 7 million from the opening weekend. There's Pastor Paula White Cain using her religious position to apparently sell Melania tickets. The message encourages supporters to purchase group tickets. Let's look at what the message was to all of these Christians who are part of this group who got the message. Melania movie in theaters. Let's support our First Lady. Book with your group. So it's like your Christian group needs to go and buy out theaters. I guess that's how you're going to become closer to God, right? Why supporting this film is important. For years, our First Lady's story was talked about, but never told, judged without being understood, and reduced when it deserved depth. Let's take this film all the way to #1. And then it talks about buying out theaters for $1,500 and $3,000, and that will go to the ticket sales that ultimately get reported. Then Melania and Trump have their embarrassing state regime media, which calls itself Fox News. You have Kayleigh McEnany said, my mom went to see it. There was standing room only. Standing room only isn't a thing in movie theaters. But here's what they're saying on state regime media. Play this clip.
It soared past expectations, bringing in more than $7 million at the box office in its opening weekend. Now, that is the most of any non-concert documentary in a decade. Now, legacy film reviewers were so certain that it wouldn't do well. Well, they would be wrong. Emily, my mom went to this weekend in Florida. She said not only was the theater packed, it was, standing room only if you could try to sneak in the back of the theater. People were cheering through it. They were excited. It was interactive. People interplaying with the film. She said it was just electric.
Here's what Morrow is saying on state regime media.
Liars.
Play this clip.
But what they're really worried about is if this is indicia for the midterms, because they're all saying, oh, it's done. We're going to control Congress. This is the indication that that silent majority is still out there.
You think that's indicia of the midterms? That the Melania movie lost $69 million? Okay, here's Campagno on the Melania movie. Play this clip.
Yes,
Women.
they are.
Sorry.
No,
Women is
just
what they're worried about here.
To analogize, remember when Laura Trump's song was #1 on Apple iTunes and no one talked about it?
Yep.
Our books that are all New York Times #1 bestsellers, no one talks about it. The whole point is the pop culture, the actual audience that is so popular and loves things are all of a sudden, they are mute on the left about the coverage.
Yep. And also, okay, I mean, it's just like clowns, like clownish fascists. And here's Melania with Brett Ratner right here, her director. Take a look. Here's Brett Ratner in the Epstein files with someone who looks very, very young. The face is redacted. And then Brett Ratner went on Piers Morgan to promote the Melania film. And Piers Morgan said, so what's your response to the picture of you in the Epstein files? And Ratner's like, oh, that's my fiance. And then Piers is like, okay, what's her name? I don't know her. I don't know who she is. Here, play this clip.
As you know, a picture came out of you with Jeffrey Epstein with 2 apparently young women in it. What is your response to that picture? And what is your response to the wider scandal of the Epstein files?
Oh, well, that picture in particular happened around 20 years ago, 19, 20 to 21 years ago, because.
So damn what? We ain't ask you when it happened. Automatic deflection, automatically he starts off deflecting. No. Who's in the picture? Why are you in this picture? We don't care. We can see that the picture was taken some time ago. You were still older and she was still very younger. Who is she? He used to date Serena Williams. This guy here, Brett Ratner. So, no, your fiance, well, let's see what he's about to say. Yeah, all these dudes, they all being exposed. The co-owner, part owner of the New York Giants have been exposed in the Epstein files. The list goes on. Rich and powerful individuals. This is why they have been able to conceal it for so long.
That is a photograph of my fiance who invited me to this event. And that's where the picture was taken. I was never been in contact with Jeffrey Epstein before that photo, and I was never in contact with him after. So that's a picture of me and my fiance at some event.
Wow. So who was the fiance, if you don't mind me asking?
She doesn't want me sharing her name in the case, but that's my fiance, 100%. Was my fiance.
But you're not still.
I'm not.
I was going to say you're not still with that.
No.
He's not engaged.
Yeah.
It's the world's longest engagement,
No,
20 years.
20 years ago, I was engaged to her when that photo was taken.
Right.
Yes.
And your position is you never.
At it, really, man. These people, boy, I mean, will sit there and try to lie with a straight face. But, I'm no body language expert, but you can see when he first was caught up, his whole jaw dropped. And he turned it from the camera. Yeah, that's my, he's deflecting, man. Knock it off. Your fiance. No, say her name. Why not? Y'all just at the event, right? What's the event? Do it look like that they were dressed for an event? Anyone there? Sitting on a couch, curled up, hugged up. All four of them, close-knit together, hugged up. The little minor girl looks like has on some white little T-shirt or what have you, sitting there, what event they're at? Knock it off.
Met Epstein before or after that picture, that night?
No, never. Never.
Well, I'll let you judge for yourself, folks. Melania. What happened? Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
Damn, 6 million. That's the Midas touch. He's big. He overtook Joe Rogan's podcast some time ago. At least for a minute he did. I don't know what's going on now as the #1 podcast or number one YouTuber or what have you, especially as it relates to politics. Ben Mycelis there from the Midas Touch. Shout out to him. There you have it, folks. Subscribe here as well. I would like to get to 6 million at some point too. May sound like it's unbelievable, but not to me, not in my mind. So there you have it, Melania Trump. Let me know what you think in the comments. Exposed in the Epstein files as having extensive communications with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein, Steve Bannon, whomever else. Evidence abounds that she was involved, and even perhaps that Jeffrey Epstein is the one that introduced Melania and Donald J. Trump. But she's on record as saying that she doesn't know Ghislaine Maxwell. She has no dealings with her, doesn't know her. Doesn't know Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, you know him. You have nicknames for him, J.E. and G. And, oh, you're flying all around the world, and how you doing, girl? You look so good, like they're old friends, old girlfriends. Who can you trust? Who can you trust in this situation? None of these people, man. We're going to continue to cover it. It's all coming out. It's all going to come out. It's all going to be exposed. And don't be surprised about what comes out. I believe that this is merely just a tip of the iceberg. Stay safe and stay free, people.